Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about living world and I'm going to take this lecture in parts, and if you're interested in a live class for this lecture you can also let me know, or else I can take it in parts. So this topic I'm going to explain first what is meant by living, what is meant by non-living, and what are the defining properties of a living organism, and then I'll be talking about what is meant by taxonomy, and then is there any similarity between a cat and a lion, and if so, why? Because both belong to same family. So, and then I'm also going to talk about where are the animals preserved, and where are the plants taken care of. That is, I'm going to also talk about flora, fauna, and what is key. So these are the things that are important according to need for this topic. So let's begin. So yeah, and in case if you cannot see my notes clearly, you can leave in the comments below and I'll link the uh, notes to this. Okay, so let's start. So growth, what is meant by growth? So for us, example, compare ourselves with that of the mountains. Okay, so in mountains, if there is accumulation of dust and everything, it grows in size, right? But for us to grow, it is happening from inside, it is not happening from outside. So in mountains, if there is soil or dust or leaves fall, it increases in size. So the growth is extrinsic. Whereas for humans, it is from within. So it is intrinsic. Okay. Now, what is stimuli? What is response? So for example, if I keep this pen so close to my eyes, I'm blinking it, right? So this is the stimuli and I'm reacting to the stimuli. I'm responding to the stimuli by blinking my eye. So that is what is meant by stimuli, and that is what response is. And we living organisms do respond to stimuli. If there is rain, we try to go to a place where it's not raining. And if it's cold, we try to wear something warmer. So we are reacting to different kinds of stimuli. Now, living organisms exhibit growth, development, reproduction, metabolism, and ability to sense the environment. Responsiveness are unique feature of living organisms. Now, living organisms are exhibiting different features. Now, first feature is a growth. Okay, so there is something called as indeterminate growth, there is something called as determinate growth. So we come under the category of determinate growth. After a point, we don't grow beyond that, right? So next, mountain. Mountain, I told you, because of accumulation of different things, it increases in size and it is an extrinsic type of growth that is seen. Okay, and accretion is nothing but accumulation of substance on the surface. That is what we have seen in that of the mountain. Now, living organisms grow from inside, so it is called intrinsic growth. Growth is not a defining property of living organisms because mountain is not living, but it is still growing. But I'm living, right? So there is a difference between them. So therefore, growth is not a defining property. Defining means that's the absolute way where you can say that, hey, this occurs only in living organisms. Okay, now coming to reproduction. You might think only living organisms reproduce, humans reproduce, animals reproduce, and all of them are living, right? But there are some humans who do not reproduce. They are sterile humans, but they still come under the category of living organisms. So you cannot say that reproduction is a defining property because there are exceptions to that, right? And also some of the animals do not reproduce. And such example is when there is mating that happens between different species. Okay, so according to the law of nature, breeding should be done within same species, but there is an exception, that is mule and hiney. Okay, so mule is something where where there is mating done between horse and a donkey and even hinny. So it's the other way around. If a male horse and a female donkey mates, or a female horse and a male donkey mate, then they result in mule and hinny. And also a lion and a tigress can mate, or a tiger and a lioness can mate. But lion and tiger breeding occurs only in captivity. That is when they are kept in a place, in a captive condition, it happens. But horse and donkey mate naturally also. So they are not reproducing. Mule is sterile. Whereas lion, the product of lion and tiger is not sterile, but I'm talking about the mule. So mule is sterile. So therefore, it is not a defining property, because mule is still a living organism. It is an animal. But you cannot say that reproduction is a defining property, because if you're saying that reproduction is a defining property, then all the living organisms are supposed to reproduce, which is not happening in case of sterile humans, as well as in case of female horse and donkey, or a male horse and donkey, or the other way around. Okay, so reproduction is of different kinds. So basically this topic is going to tell us what we are going to study all through the 11th and 12th. So we are first going to study about the basic fundamental unit of life from cell onwards. We're going to study about different animals. Just a second, I think like my AirPods are connected, so I'll continue teaching by AirPods. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so I've disconnected. All right. So now coming back, just giving you a quick recap of what I was trying to explain. So I was trying to explain that reproduction can occur in some living organisms and do not occur in some process, and in people where reproduction occurs. So in humans, it's sexual, whereas in plants, it's asexual reproduction. We know that. And there are different kinds of asexual reproduction, which we'll be studying in the later classes. Now, important defining property of humans, and which is a living organism, is metabolism. Metabolism is the defining property that occurs only in living organisms. It does not occur anywhere else. So what is meant by metabolism? It consists of two reactions: catabolic reactions and anabolic reactions. Now, what is meant by catabolic reaction is, for example, I'm eating an apple. Okay, that apple is a food that gets converted into my mouth into a bolus with the help of saliva. It goes inside and gets converted into glucose, right? Food being broken down into glucose is a catabolic reaction. Let me write it down for you. So food, when it is converted into glucose because of digestive system, this is a catabolic reaction, because there is breakdown of food substance that is happening. Whereas anabolic reaction means there is creation. Now, what is getting created? So once that food is getting converted into glucose, it gets absorbed into my blood, and oxygen will react with it. So with this glucose, oxygen will react and it will give ATP. Okay, so ATP is being synthesized over here. So these reactions, you'll again study it in digestion and respiration, but I'm just giving you an overview. So what happens in anabolic reaction? That glucose will react with oxygen and produce something. So catabolic means breakdown, anabolic means creation. Okay, so these kind of reactions occur exclusively only in living organisms. Now, cellular organization is also a defining property. Means we know cells form tissue, tissue form organs, organs form organ system, and organ system constitutes an organism. We have digestive system, we have respiratory system, we have endocrine system. We all know these things. So this is also a defining property, because plants, so let me ask you something. If anything is living, plant is also living, right? But if there is something dead, like for example, mountains or this pen does not have any metabolic or anabolic reaction going inside it, right? So that is what I'm trying to explain. So what are the defining properties of a living organisms? It is the metabolism and cellular organization. All organisms are aware of their surroundings. Human beings are aware of their themselves. Like for example, suppose think that something just flew across me, let it be a mosquito. Okay, I can still feel the sensation, right? Even though I'm not like looking for any mosquitoes around me, but if something just goes past me, I know because I'm aware of my surroundings, right? So we can say that, okay, all the living organisms are conscious, but that's not true. There is an exception to that. That is in case of coma patients. So in case of coma patients, the doctors inject different things to revive the patient. The patient is alive but is not reacting. If you try to prick something, he won't stop. He won't resist. That's because he's in coma. So that is an exception. But other than the exception of coma, all living organisms are aware. Like for example, if a cat sees a rat, cat will run towards a rat and rat will run away from the cat because both of them are conscious and both of them are living organisms. Okay, so in today's class we have studied about like is growth defining property? No, because in mountains you see extrinsic growth and that is not a living organism. In reproduction, you do not see reproduction in certain humans as well as in mule, so that is not a defining property. Metabolism is definitely a property where catabolic and anabolic reactions occur. Catabolic reactions are where there is breakdown of substances, and anabolic reactions is where there is synthesis of some substances. Okay, and cellular organization is also a defining property. Consciousness is present among the living organisms with an exception, that is coma patients. So today we have studied about this, and tomorrow we'll study about nomenclature, species, and taxonomy, and we'll try to name 2-3 different things so that you understand it more better. And then I'll be explaining about flora and fauna in the 4th or 5th part of the lecture. So in case if you enjoyed watching my video, please do like, share, and subscribe. And also, if you have any questions, you can leave in the comments below and I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to my channel.